Hey guys, back to you with another video. Today we're gonna be me and Luis were talking about how sometimes it could be stressful to go to work and feel like you're not really there, you're not being useful to the job. And we were just talking about this how in my job I have this new guy and he's always looking like kind of confused as to where he's going because it looks like he doesn't know what really he could do to add value, and you know what that looks like. Like he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where things are. He doesn't know how he could be helping. And so I wanted to ask you, Louis, what's some advice you can give to people that are just starting out that necessarily don't know where everything is, or they don't know like what can you do when you're in that situation to maybe get through that phase.
Okay, well, the way that I'm thinking about it, I think I've been in this position, so I can sympathize.
Mm.
The sympathizing part comes from just knowing that I thought I knew everything.
Yeah, you shouldn't beat
And
yourself up over it.
no, it was more like I thought I was more in the sense that I thought I knew everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to humble myself. And once
Yeah.
I actually did that and started like knowing that I don't know everything,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when they started to respect me in the workforce. But wow, how was your experience with it?
You know what? It's interesting you even bring that up because I like to that way that you put it where whenever you're in a situation where you're expected to do something but you're not really sure via lack of experience, you should always consider to humble yourself, because it's only when we humble ourselves that we can start to learn and see. Because there's this saying that's I don't know how exactly it goes, but it's a smart person will learn fast, but a wise person no. A smart person will learn from his mistakes, but a wise person will learn from the mistakes of others. So by humbling yourself in those situations, it allows you to like be very perceptive to what's happening in your environment, and just by like even that, you become a learner in those situations, and by you looking at what people are doing, you can very easily like start to emulate what they're doing.
Well, let
Right?
me ask you another question, because to me it seems like you've been a natural,
Mhm.
just I guess you would say, a good worker,
Mhm.
and you've kind of like you've seen that throughout your whole, basically, because you've had many jobs too, right?
Yeah.
Like different jobs, so you had different bosses, different
I try to
different
work.
authority.
I was in America. You're like the basic entry level jobs you're gonna do range from like retail, fast food, and those are really like the basic ones. But then you also have some ones. I done retail, and I done fast food, and I feel like everything else it was kind of a combination of those two.
Yeah, it's like a variety. So, do you think each person that has the fortunate opportunity to work, like at a job, do you
Mhm.
think each person has the latent ability in themselves
Okay.
already, or
Uh,
do you think you have to draw them out like by hard work, or is it like hard work and talent? Like,
okay,
or
so
what do you see there?
that can go back from like that topic of like nurture versus nature, where I could also see like whenever you would want to hire somebody, it might sound mean, but I wouldn't want to hire somebody that's necessarily like overweight versus somebody that isn't overweight, because obviously I can see that somebody's gonna move faster. Not to say like in any job, right? Let's say this is a construction job or something. Obviously, in a construction job, I would need somebody that via nurture they would be fit for that position. You get me? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that if it's an office job, I'm not I also gotta see that and like notice some things about a person, like to be like, well, I also know that this person maybe lacks discipline. You get me? And I'm not trying to be like mean to like overweight people. I'm just saying that by you keeping your wits about you and like looking at people, you can see their choices and you can see the choices they make.
Okay, so what you're really saying is that you yourself are a fit person, which, like, you yourself talking from your only human experience,
Oh,
allows you to work better at your job, right?
No.
Because you are like not on that spectrum.
for me, I've never thought about myself. I never chose to give myself that label, because I'm the type of person that's always self conscious about himself of whether he's doing enough. Because I think that comes from my childhood. That I needed to be like capable, because I didn't necessarily have like the best parents. In fact, I lost my mom and stuff, and so I always have this self-conscious need to like be performing in any type of way, because whenever I feel like I'm clocking into my work, I feel like now they're paying for my time, and now I am a product, and I don't want to be a bad product. I want to be a good product. I don't know if that makes sense.
So to me, you're kind of multiplying two skills there. You're multiplying the skill that you built to being self-reliant with the skill of like just you knowing that you're also humble and stuff.
Well, you know what I do? I also have a bad habit, which it kind of messes with me. That I sometimes I don't take credit for my own the own work I put in.
Oh, dude, you shouldn't do that. You should actually do the opposite. Well, if you allow me to give you some advice there.
Okay, well, for one, I can take it, but if it's not like a lot of work, you get me? Sometimes I do like 3 things or like 2 things that I feel are very simple, and then the coworkers they be telling me like, "Oh, thank you, like good job." And then in my mind it's like not a big deal. But then when I look at what I did, it's like, "Oh, wow, I did do all that." And then by like separating myself from it, you know? But I also feel like how you could be a new worker. Getting back to the topic, if you're a new worker, even if you're just standing there and you're trying to learn, by you already being in that environment, you're already expanding your capacity for that whatever you're doing. So
I guess to answer the question, then you're saying that you can either have the latent ability, or you can like just by you being in the environment, you're kind of already like. You're expanding it.
It's because the thing is that the whatever business or whatever job you're applying to, it's operated by people, and you are a person. So by definition, you have the latent ability to be there. It's all about it's really all about your mindset. Like, why have the thing that's keeping you back in this perspective is the fear of incompetence.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fun.
That's why
fear is kind of like it's such a like
it keeps you in place.
It's such a wormhole to like study, because it kind of like you said, it keeps you complacent. It doesn't allow you to thrive. And I feel like if you don't have the fear, you probably don't have fear.
But imagine being complacent and learning, like while you're like delaying learning. Imagine like being so scared that you're like it's your first time working. And because of your scare, it's taking you longer to get accustomed to the environment. Do you understand?
Do you think this generation has more fear?
For sure, yes.
And why do you think that is? Like, not to like say the media is bad, but like sometimes media does like to portray fear.
Not to say. Okay, I feel like media is more of a cost, because it's more so because media has given us such a like awareness of stuff, and now. Because there's this quote by H.P. Lovecraft, and he's like a famous horror writer. Yeah. Horror, specifically, fear writing. And he's talking about how the unknown is the strongest... No, how fear is the strongest emotion of mankind, and how fear of the unknown is the oldest fear. Yeah. Because it's like...
It's the first fear, actually, the first emotion.
It's not knowing. And people don't understand that information is as infinite as numbers. And what people don't know is that instead of like being because we're being tricked into thinking that we are informed, when in reality we're like more uninformed than ever with like so much information because of the numbers being fear. And now it's like instead of like us being like more intelligent, more knowledgeable, we're more
ignorant.
I want to not. No. What's the word? We're more aware. It makes us more aware, and that awareness. That's why there's this. I don't know if people have heard the JC song. It's called "Smile" from the 444 record, his famous album. He has a song called Smile, and in the song there's this verse at the end that's kind of like a poem, how he says like when you're out of sight, you're both happy and content because people can't see what you're going through, and when people can't see you, you're happy. Or I don't know if that makes sense.
So awareness equals like, do you think having that fear and awareness of information, it should make you like the more information you know, you basically like.
Well,
would you agree that you can?
Let's get into a debate. Let me ask you this: do you think that information makes you more miserable, or do you think that being more like informed or being more like?
Damn, you're gonna put me on the spot and ask me that.
And this is like something that is a topic in philosophy, because they say that people that know more are more aware of like how short life is. They're more aware of how limited we are. They're more aware of like all the things that can go wrong. Like even if I've been studying about space, and just knowing a brief fraction of all the things that can go wrong. That's why we need to be grateful for all the things that are currently going right, and how our planet is so sustainable.
Yeah, and I always try to tell people that I meet, like, do you know how like lucky you are to be in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know like how many things had to go right for you like to be here with me?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like the same goes for me. Like all these things had to happen for me to be here, as for you. So you kind of start to. Sometimes we humans, we just get used to it, but we should be grateful. We should like get down on our knees and like be grateful that we are alive.
Look, I'll add to that. Now, getting back to our topic about mindset. This is why mindset is very important, because at the same time that space is such a dangerous space, and there's the laws of physics can be like at our detriment sometimes, and it's like really rare for life to exist. At the same time, life does exist, and the planet is a thing.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. So in a way, even though these things are like also true, that doesn't take away the fact that these other things are true. And that's what I mean, that life is truly perspective, because you could be in this other side where you could be like, oh, we could have a meteor, we could have these things, or you could be this person that could be like, well, we could have a meteor tomorrow, but today we don't. Mm-hmm. And by him like knowing that day, he's making the most out of that day than the person that's not, because he's in fear.
So would you say that you are aware every day of your mortality, and the fact that that because of that you get to actually like live more alive than other people?
I feel, because
you've also had a near-death experience, which
I've had,
kind of like takes away your ego.
I've had I guess I've always Kendrick, I don't know, I think it was Nas, I don't know if it was Nas that said it and Illmatic that said that the reason, or maybe I don't know, but the mind can see so many possibilities, because in reality it's this biological computer and you're just calculating possibilities. And so I can be walking down the street and see a shadowy person and think, oh, he's gonna stab me, he's gonna mug me. I could die in so many ways. Or if I'm even walking by the road, you see all these cars, you could think, oh, one's gonna slide off, hit me.
So you constantly think of that?
Yeah, it's because we live with death. Death is all around us.
Yeah.
And this is a point where you could talk about religion sometimes. That's why I feel like you shouldn't ever take away somebody's religion from them, because at the end of the day, a person that lives with religion, that has faith, even if you want to be that ignorant person that tries to take that away from them using like logic, to be like, logically that doesn't make sense, this person has been living a fuller life than this other person. Because to this person, these are not issues that they're having to, because these are stressful questions. Like, not everybody has the capacity to want to put themselves in those uncomfortable places to ask themselves, like, what is the meaning of life? What is my purpose?
So would you say that people who are successful, or at least like tend to be more on the successful
mm-hmm.
spectrum, do you think those people are like, they have less fear? Because you kind of seems like you have like not that much fear, but you're still aware that you're mortal.
It's not okay. Here's the thing, I'm very aware of my limitations as like a person, because I know that there's some people that feel this grand sense of entitlement from being alive, or you have some people that feel like important, and that's where
self-righteous.
Yeah, that's where humility has to come into place, to be like, you do know that, or this is the way I see it at the very least, like, my brain is made out of flesh and bones. Mm-hmm. Like, it's limited by flesh and bones, and even though that might be because of like, was it God or a miracle, that flesh and bone is able to produce my consciousness, you know. but that consciousness is still limited by my flesh and bones. So I need to be like very careful into not thinking that these magical things are happening, to not put it above myself, to not be like, well, I am greater than this. You get me? Because at the end of the day, I am still flesh. So I could only think so much. I could only be so much because I am only biologically capable of so much. And by being aware of our limitations, aware of our mortality, that's when we can understand, you know?
So, okay, do you think that you get to choose your own problems, or do you think just like life gives them to you and then you kind of like have to like solve them yourself?
Well, it stems two trains of thoughts, because I like to believe that at the beginning of my life I wasn't really as spiritual as I am now, because I would guide myself more by logic. But now as like the more I live, the more I see things, the more some things you see things that you just can't really explain by logic, because you're seeing so much more, and you've been on this earth longer, and sometimes you start to wonder like, damn, maybe logic and feelings are the same thing. And
I can see why you like think that, because it's kind of from the same like, anytime you have a problem, you're either gonna use emotions, right, or you're gonna use the other one, which is logic.
People either use emotions or logic.
You can even switch, like
it could be a spectrum, a little mix between both. Like you could be operating on some logic, some emotion.
So when you are at your work and stuff, do you tend to like solve things emotionally or logically?
Okay, well, this is actually this is a good question. This is a good question because it makes you think of this thing that most people are talking about, where they don't feel like their work is like meaningful to them, you know? And I feel like in those situations, a lot of people, and this is why I feel like a lot of people silently quit nowadays, and they don't really care about their jobs, because they're kind of defaulting, because these environments are like environments that have so many rules and regulations that almost like at a certain point you understand that you need to default on your logic. Right. And it's that professionalism of it that they call it. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you as a human are not operating by your logic and your emotions, you're not really fully I don't know how to say that word, but you're not really like fully present, if you understand. Because I couldn't, even me as a more logical person, I feel like if I'm not adding some of my more emotional passion or my emotions into whatever I'm doing,
like work,
and even me, I am very logical. I will be very logical in what I do, but if there's not some type of emotional like connection to it, even the fact that it's so much logic, it will make me feel hollow.
So do you think companies would prefer to have you like a soulless, like machine, robotic, just working like that? Or is that why you try to step out and like have both pies at the same time? It's
because at the end of the day, I feel like this is something that is kind of a problem unique to humans, because humans have got to a point where we're such large in numbers. Because think about this, there's the topics of triunalism or tribal. What humans make tribes, we make packs. We're animals.
Yeah, sociology says it.
This is something back in like the Fallout games do this, where like in the Fallout games, the philosophy of those games is the tribes and the packs and the savagery that could come of that when we were reset to like a primal point. And humans, we got to a point where we're so large in numbers that we started to build societies. And because of the sheer length of those numbers, we have to like lose some of that independence in ourselves and some of that identity, so that we could become better clocks.
Okay, I think we're actually starting to dig into the important stuff here, because you're actually telling me that. Well, I don't know if this is like
kind of like, okay, wrong. Think about it like an ant. Like we can compare ourselves to ants,
right? Because there's those ants that like give food for the people, those scouter ants, like they go off to like check for their own like community. Even ants have the sense of community. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, but I was watching this video the other day where they were like put the hot metal inside the ant colony, and they dug out the ant colony, and it was this big ass like civilization of ants, kind of like non-Euclid because it wouldn't be for humans, but for ants you could see like you could put themselves in their shoes, because it's funny that we as humans can relate to an ant, isn't it?
I mean, in the sense that like God is real, we are just like little ants to him. So
Yeah.
or her or like whatever. But yeah, I think the fact that let me discover another thing. Real quick.
I feel like before you get into that, I feel like the main theme of today's
that's what I
cast
was gonna talk about.
has been the human's relationship with his work, with his duty.
Right.
And I feel like we have kind of got into the point of like work needs to be in your life, but it needs to be meaningful to you. You get me? It can't just be like mindless.
So how do you find meaning in your work, if I may ask?
Well, this is I don't know if you would say that this is being like complicit or this is being like stagnate, but like I recognize my opportunities, and I recognize kind of like the fact that in any job I'm gonna be working for somebody else, and I recognize the fact that I'm kind of limited by a certain range, a spectrum of things that I realistically can do as like in this like society day and age that we're at. Like as a 20-some-year-old that grew up in around 2000, I don't feel like we have had as much opportunities as like previous generations had, because I feel like they had opportunities to be like, you know, like for example, colleges were like cheaper back then. You could get in there with like a minimal job, and homes were easier to buy. And us, we haven't really gotten that sheer amount of like economic progress that they got. And it's just like, I feel like nowadays I'm content making myself into the best clog. I can go in any system, because I'm very good at like compartmentalizing that and knowing that that's not me.
Oh, okay.
You get me?
You are an actor when you are at work?
Yeah.
Or do you have a mask on?
I do have a mask on.
But you're aware of it, at least. That
I'm aware. I tell the customers like, this smile is not real. And I feel like the customers, hell, they appreciate that more. Sometimes they appreciate the honesty.
Like the customers know that you know that this is a simulation.
Yeah, like bro, like we know that you're here to buy something, and like we know that I'm clocked in.
Just cut the shit.
And I'm getting paid for that too. Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, that the fact that we're both in this scenario, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, you know. It's just something we have to both be doing, like either because you have to buy whatever you gotta do, or because I gotta make my money. But like we are part of this system that is humanity, and it sucks because it's a duty, but it's not bad to just be a human, you know.
I mean, so at least you have that sympathy that you're able.
No,
to...
well, I mean, don't get it twisted. I sometimes I think it's horrible what the American system does to that shit, because you have people that are disenfranchised for a reason, but I feel like I make up the difference by like what I do on the side. Like I need to have something for me that is me, that builds my legacy. I don't want to just be building somebody else's legacy, you know.
Right, but right now you're aware that you need to like finance your lifestyle, right?
But at the same time, I also don't. I feel like a lot of people misunderstand nowadays, and I feel like these jobs have been around like forever. It just looked like something else, and right now we're just living in the time that it looks like this.
Yeah, it's our timeline.
And surprisingly, like we live pretty good. We have TV, we have internet, we have a lot of pleasures that sometimes our dopamine can be messed up, and sometimes we're miserable because of the dopamine mess up that we have, not because like our jobs are miserable, because we don't practice enough gratitude. And I feel like if you're new and you just got a job, you should be thankful that you have the chance to work. And I feel like that's a good message to anybody that's just starting out working. Like, be thankful that you got a job, because it's not easy to get a job. Be glad, be proud of the fact that you were able to put yourself in that situation.
So you also like carry yourself at work, like you would say maybe one of the tips is to carry yourself like a king, or have pride at least.
Have the pride of a king. Yes, because you can't take that. Like again, like we were saying, like never take away your own achievements. Like the fact that you got that job should be the pride that you used to fuel learning how to do that job.
Right, because there was even a process to get that job.
Yeah.
Like you had to like file for it. You had to like wait. It was kind of a like a grind too. So you're proud of the fact that you did it.
And like a process, you should also not grow stagnated in that job. You should always be progressing. Whether you are, it's because people don't understand that sometimes stagnation could be an illusion.
Because then that's when you can start to talk about dead end jobs and stuff, right?
And even in
9 to
dead end
5s.
jobs, you could always find like a way to get better in any dead end job and anywhere. And at that point, this is where we change the topic to like a different state of mind, whereas you should be looking at like add value to you, not to like you need to add value to yourself, not to your job. Because if you add value to yourself, you'll be valuable anywhere.
And do you feel like people who don't value themselves, that's when you start to like to get the health problems? Maybe you start to like get the dopamine problems because you're not getting it from your work.
Yeah,
like you're not fulfilled, right?
Not just that, dude. If you don't, it's because people don't get that we are what we think, and if you don't value yourself, then you're effectively worthless.
In theory, right?
And no, not in theory, because then who else is valuing you if not yourself? It starts with you.
So you don't think that people have fear of like, because you know how like dopamine, right?
I feel like you could be born with like parents, but if you don't value yourself to a point, eventually that whatever you're projecting is gonna start to deteriorate those relationships. So that's why we always start as something and we become like, even if you become poor, if you start poor, you could become rich. And some people that start off as rich become poor.
That is true, dude. And you'll be surprised how many times that has happened to even just friends.
Have you seen the people that win the lottery?
Yeah.
Those are wild stories.
And I think that was pretty good though.
But overall,
I think you answered like basically most of what I had in question. Basically the prompt was like how has Info found success in his job right now?
Yeah.
Because he's like pretty successful in it.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll make a part 2 when he gets like a promotion or something. Yeah. Who knows?
I also want to leave it off on this note. Whenever you like go to work, you should be doing 2 things. You should be like trying to do your job good, but you should also be trying to like enjoy your time. And if you're not doing those 2 things,
that's crazy.
You may be doing your job good, but you're gonna be miserable. And even if sometimes you having fun has to cut into you doing your job good, sometimes it's okay. Well, that's all for today, right?
Like prioritize your
own happiness. And I mean, we can't really put our happiness when we're working, but I sure as hell not gonna put it on like second place. I'm gonna put it even.
Do you think you can wait? Last question, I guess. Do you think you can work hard and be happy at the same time, or do you think you have to be focused while you're working hard and like prioritize that for like the moment?
Well,
or does it give and take?
The funny thing is that I can say both. Like, why does working hard have to be like boring? Like sometimes, be me challenging myself to like work hard that challenge is the fun part. Because like at the end of the day, like I do that shit every day. Like I might as well like let's see how like good I can do it. If I really do this every day, I should be really fucking good. And me like demonstrating that will always satisfy. Well, you being good at anything will always strike your ego.
Yeah, it's like they say, like you can vote the type of person that you are, and the votes basically like the ballots is each action that you make. So if you're saying I'm a good worker, look, there's this many days that I have like worked good. You can already actually say that you are a good worker. So
yeah,
because you've had the proof, the pudding that you like are. So I think that's very enlightening right there.
All right, well, guys, remember, don't take away from your own achievements, and always be progressing to something, and try your best.
Yeah,
and don't take this too serious. Life is fun.
Damn, this was kind of different, huh? This like self-improvement podcast.